There are moments when life seems to lean closer, as if whispering a secret into your chest. Not through words, not through logic, but through a trembling you cannot explain. That trembling is why you are here. It is no accident. You were drawn like a moth toward a hidden flame, like a wave pulled toward its unseen shore. Listen, what you are seeking has already been seeking you. Every longing, every ache, every restless silence has been the beloved calling your name beneath the noise of thought. Stay near. Let this be not just a video, but a gathering of souls who refuse to sleep through their own awakening. Subscribe not because it is asked, but because your spirit is thirsty for reminders, gentle sparks that keep the fire alive. Think of it not as joining a channel, but as returning to the circle of lovers that Rumi himself began centuries ago. A circle that is still turning, still burning. Rumi once said, "There is a candle in your heart, ready to be kindled. There is a void in your soul, ready to be filled." What if that candle has never gone out? What if your emptiness is not a failure, but an invitation? The world teaches us to patch the void, to cover it with noise, possessions, distractions. But Rumi turned toward the emptiness. He listened to it. He discovered that what we call emptiness is not hollow. It is the place where the beloved waits to be remembered. And here is the paradox. What feels like absence is presence in disguise. What feels like longing is the first touch of reunion. You are not broken. You are being called. There is a fire that does not consume, but reveals. Not the fire that destroys forests, but the fire that melts metal until only gold remains. That fire is love, not the fragile, possessive love of stories, but the raw, holy flame that strips away everything false. Rumi knew this fire. It burned through his identity as a scholar, through the walls of his ego, through every mask he thought was himself. Out of that burning came words that still move us centuries later, not because they are beautiful, but because they are alive. This same fire is in you. You have felt it in moments when the world stopped, when music broke you open, when grief left you trembling, when silence felt unbearably full. The fire comes in disguise, but it is always the same invitation. Burn and be revealed. Perhaps you fear this fire. That is natural. We all do. The ego clings to its illusions, whispering, "If you let go, you will vanish." But listen closely. The only thing that vanishes is what was never real. What remains is what you have always been. Rumi called this surrender, dying before you die. Not death of the body, but of the false self, the masks, the fears, the endless pretending. And in that death, life begins. Not the life you control, but the life that breathes through you when you finally stop resisting. So let these words be not decoration, but doorway. Step through. Let them break something open in you. Let them remind you of what you already know but have forgotten, that you are not separate, that the beloved is nearer than your own breath, and that the trembling you feel right now is proof. Stay close. Listen deeply. Allow yourself to be undone. And as we walk together through these words, remember, this is not a lecture. It is a fire. Not information, but transformation. And if something in you begins to stir, do not push it away. Lean closer, for this flame has been waiting for you all along. There is a garden inside you that has never withered. Even when your days feel dry, even when your heart feels like desert, beneath the dust, something green is still alive. Rumi spoke often of this garden, not as a place outside, but as the hidden ground of the soul where the beloved walks. The mistake we make is to think we must travel far to find it, that we must cross oceans or climb mountains to enter that paradise. But Rumi said the journey is not outward. The gate is already within you. The soil is your own heart, and the water is your longing. Most people try to silence their longing, calling it weakness. But longing is the river that nourishes the hidden roots. Without longing, the garden remains dry. With longing, flowers begin to open even in the dark. The ache you feel is proof that the beloved has already stepped into your chest. Why else would the garden stir? Why else would the silence tremble with growth? Rumi's gift was to tell us that longing is not our flaw, but our blessing. To long is to be alive. To long is to be already in the embrace, though the mind has not yet noticed. The garden within is not without struggle. Weeds rise, shadows stretch across the soil, storms pass through, tearing at branches, but even these have their purpose. Rumi never told us to reject the thorns. He reminded us that the rose and the thorn are born of the same root, and the thorn is what protects the rose until it blooms. Pain is not an enemy. Pain is the hand of the beloved clearing space for joy. If you learn to trust this, even sorrow becomes a gardener. There are moments when you may feel barren, when all you see in yourself is dry land. But look deeper. Beneath the surface, seeds are waiting. They have been waiting for years, for lifetimes. They are patient. They know that the rain will come, and the rain always comes. Rumi said the beloved never forgets a single seed. Every soul is carried, every garden remembered. The waiting is part of the blossoming. To sit in silence with yourself is to walk in that garden. To breathe and let longing rise is to hear its hidden bird song. You don't need to force anything. You don't need to tear open the buds. Just be present. The garden knows how to bloom. Your task is only to clear the weeds of fear, to open the gate of the heart, to let the sunlight of attention fall. Rumi's words are not instructions for building a paradise, but reminders that you are already living inside one. Think of this moment. You, listening now. Already something is shifting in the soil. Already a new fragrance is moving through your breath. This is not imagination. It is recognition. The garden is here, alive, waiting. And if you return often, if you water it with silence and longing, if you let the beloved's rain fall freely, you will see what Rumi saw. That paradise is not later, not elsewhere, not earned. It is now. It is within. Stay close to this remembering. Let it open in you. Do not hurry. Gardens do not bloom in haste, but when the time is right, when the rain has softened the earth, when the sun has whispered enough warmth, your heart is no different. Trust the process. Trust the beloved. And when the flowers begin to rise, when the fragrance of love fills your chest, you will understand why Rumi spoke as he did, why his words burn even now, because he was not describing a dream. He was describing the garden you are already carrying. There is a river flowing through your life that you did not create. From the moment you took your first breath, it has been moving, carrying you from one shore to another, whether you noticed or not. Rumi spoke of this river often, though he gave it many names: grace, love, destiny, the beloved's hand. He said you are not separate from its current. You are not standing outside of it. You are already within it, already being carried. The struggle comes when we fight the flow. We cling to the rocks of identity, to the branches of old fears, to the illusions we think will save us. But the river does not stop. It pulls gently, then fiercely, asking us to release. The more we resist, the more we suffer. The moment we surrender, the river reveals its secret. It has always been leading us home, Rumi once said. Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even if you cannot see the reason for winter. The river is like that. At times it runs swift and bright. At times it grows dark and slow. At times it floods, sweeping away everything you thought was secure. At times, it falls silent, a trickle you can barely hear. Yet, through all its moods, it never ceases moving. The destination does not change. The ocean waits. Think of how many times you thought you were lost, how many times you believed the path was broken, and yet, here you are. Somehow the current carried you, even when you thought you had drowned. Every heartbreak, every loss, every unexpected turn was still the river, still the beloved guiding you in a language deeper than reason. You survived not because you fought, but because something larger than you refused to let go. The mind wants to command the water. It wants maps, guarantees, certainty. But the river laughs at maps. It does not move according to our plans. It moves according to love, which knows more than our thinking ever will. This is why Rumi trusted surrender more than control. To let go is not to give up. It is to give in to the greater wisdom that has been carrying you all along. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath. Inhale, exhale. Even now, the current is moving. Even now, life is carrying you without your effort. You do not tell your heart to beat, your lungs to fill, your cells to live. The river flows through you as much as around you. To recognize this is to rest. To recognize this is to know that you are not lost. You have never been lost. You are in the current, and the current is love. There will be times when the water feels wild, when fear rises because you cannot see the shore. But Rumi reminds us that the ocean is not far. The drop will always return to the sea. And when it does, it will remember that it was never separate. What you fear as drowning is only dissolving. What you call loss is only return. The river does not destroy the drop. It restores it to its truth. So release your grip on the rocks. Trust the water. Even your resistance is part of the flow. Even your fear is carried. The river has no interest in your perfection. It wants only your surrender. Let yourself be moved. Let yourself be carried. And you will discover what Rumi discovered, that the current has always been the beloved, guiding you, embracing you, waiting with open arms at the shore you cannot yet see. Beneath the noise of the world, beneath the chatter of the mind, there is a music always playing. It is not heard with the ears, but with the soul. Rumi called it the secret song, the melody of creation, the rhythm to which everything dances. He said every step we take, every breath we draw, is already moving in harmony with it, though most of us do not notice. This music is older than language. It is the hum of stars spinning in the night, the quiet beat of your heart in the dark, the whisper of wind through trees. When you listen closely, you begin to hear it everywhere. The laughter of a child, the cry of a bird, even the silence between words. All of it is part of the same symphony. To ignore it is to feel alone. To hear it is to realize you have never been separate. Rumi often spoke of the reed flute, cut from its bed, crying and longing for the riverbank it once knew. Its sound was sorrow and beauty woven together, the voice of the soul remembering its source. When he listened to that music, he did not hear entertainment. He heard truth. He heard the beloved calling, disguised as sound. For him, every instrument was a messenger, every rhythm a reminder. Think of the moments when music has broken you open without warning, when a song has brought tears you could not explain, when a single note has made your chest ache with memory. That is not accident. That is the hidden music speaking to you directly. It bypasses the mind. It pierces the heart. It calls the soul to wake. This is why Rumi trusted music as a path, why he spun and whirled when he heard the drum. He knew the body could pray without words, that movement itself could become listening. The music is not outside you alone. it moves within. The rhythm of your pulse, the inhale and exhale of your breath, the rise and fall of your emotions, all are instruments in the same orchestra. When Rumi said, "We rarely hear the inward music, but we're all dancing to it nevertheless," he meant that even without noticing, you are already part of the song. To awaken is not to create harmony, but to recognize that you were never out of it. There is a freedom in listening to this hidden song. You stop trying to force your own melody and instead let yourself be played. You stop demanding control and allow yourself to move in time with the greater rhythm. This is surrender, not as defeat, but as dance. You are not the composer, and you do not need to be. You are the instrument through which the beloved plays. And in that realization, life becomes less of a burden and more of a music you cannot help but move to. So pause. Close your eyes. Listen beneath the noise. The song is here, now. It has always been here. Every sorrow, every joy, every silence has been part of it. And when you truly hear it, when you allow yourself to be carried in its rhythm, you will understand why Rumi spoke as he did, why he danced, why he sang. Because he was not inventing the music. He was surrendering to what was already playing. And it is playing still. There is a mirror hidden inside you, but it is not made of glass or silver. It is the mirror of the heart. Rumi said the soul is like a polished surface, able to reflect the light of the beloved perfectly. Yet most of the time this mirror is clouded, covered by dust, veiled by the smoke of thought, fear, and desire. We do not lack the light. We only lack the clarity to reflect it. This is why Rumi called us again and again to cleanse the heart, not by force, not by violence, but by surrender. He said every tear you shed, every act of compassion, every moment of silence is like wiping away a little more dust. Slowly the mirror clears, slowly the light appears, and one day you see not only the reflection of the beloved, but your own face shining with the same radiance. Think of the way pain polishes you. When you lose someone, when life shatters your certainty, when the ground beneath you gives way, something in you is rubbed raw. It hurts. But in that friction, the surface clears. The ego resists, but the soul knows. The pain that breaks you is also the hand of the beloved polishing you. The more you surrender, the clearer the reflection becomes. Rumi said, "If you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished?" He knew that the world is not against you. The world is shaping you, removing what hides the light. Each disappointment, each struggle, each wound is not punishment, but invitation. The mirror does not shine by itself. It shines when touched by the hand of love. Even when love arrives disguised as loss, sometimes you may see a glimpse of the light in another person's eyes. For a moment, their presence clears your mirror, and you remember. This is why human love feels so holy. It is not that the other gives you light. It is that they help you see what was always inside you. They become a mirror for your mirror. But Rumi warned us not to cling to the reflection. Do not mistake the mirror for the sun. The true source of light is within, waiting to be uncovered. The practice is simple and endless. Polish. Each breath can be a cloth. Each act of kindness, each letting go, each return to silence is a stroke across the surface. Slowly, gently, the dust falls away. And as it does, you begin to recognize yourself, not as the small self of fears and stories, but as the reflection of something infinite. When the mirror clears, the world itself becomes brighter. You look at the sky and see not just clouds, but light woven through them. You look at a stranger and see not just a face, but a spark of the same flame. You look at yourself and see not only wounds, but the radiance shining through them. This is what Rumi knew. that heaven is not elsewhere. It is revealed when the heart becomes clear enough to reflect it. So hold the mirror gently. Do not curse the dust. Do not fear the polishing. Every mark, every rub, every tear is the beloved's way of bringing you closer to your own light. And when you finally see it, when your mirror shines without distortion, you will know what Rumi meant, that the beloved was never far, never absent. The light was here all along, waiting to be remembered. There is a language older than words, older than ink on parchment, older even than the tongue that speaks. Rumi called it the language of silence. He said it is the only speech the beloved truly understands, because it is the only place where nothing is hidden. Words can conceal as much as they reveal, but silence strips everything bare. In silence, the soul is naked, and in that nakedness, it is seen. Think of the way stillness speaks to you. When the night is quiet, when the noise of the day has faded, there is a depth that opens. Thoughts slow, and beneath them, something else begins to rise, not in sentences, but in presence. That presence is the beloved speaking, not in language, but in being. You do not need translation. You recognize it instantly because it has always been home. Rumi said, "Silence is the language of God. All else is poor translation." He did not mean that words are worthless. He himself gave us rivers of words. But he knew that his poetry was only the doorway. What it pointed to could never be contained in syllables. His verses are like fingers pointing to the moon, but the moon itself is silence. If you stop at the finger, you miss the light. If you follow it, you enter the radiance beyond speech. In silence, wounds soften. In silence, the heart begins to breathe again. This is why so many flee from it. They fear what they will hear when the voices stop. But Rumi knew that silence is not emptiness. It is fullness too vast for words. To enter it is to remember what cannot be doubted, to be held without needing explanation, to be known without needing to speak. Sometimes silence descends like a weight, heavy and demanding. At other times it rises like a gentle tide, washing away thought. However it comes, it is always the same invitation: be still and know. To the mind, silence feels like death. To the soul, it feels like home. This is why the mystics loved it. Not because they hated the world, but because they wanted to hear it more clearly, without the static of distraction. If you listen now, even with the noise around you, silence is still present. Beneath the hum of the city, beneath the rustle of leaves, beneath the pulse of your own blood, it is there, waiting. It does not need to be created. It only needs to be noticed. And the moment you notice, you realize it has never left. Silence teaches you without words. It shows you that the heart is deeper than thought. It reveals that your fears are smaller than they appear, that your longing is truer than you admit, that your soul is not fragile but vast. Rumi did not want us to abandon language, but to remember that its source is silence. From silence words rise, and into silence they return. The beginning and the ending are the same, so let silence speak in you. Do not resist it. Do not fear it. It will not erase you. It will reveal you. Let it strip away the illusions, the masks, the endless chatter of the ego. Let it remind you that the beloved's first language is not spoken, but felt, not written, but lived. And when you finally surrender to it, when you sit long enough to hear what cannot be said, you will understand what Rumi understood. That silence itself is the beloved's embrace. We spend our lives searching for a door, a way out of sorrow, a way into peace, a way towards something that feels like home. Some knock on temples, others on books, others on the hearts of lovers. We knock and wait, hoping the door will open. But Rumi said the door has never been locked. It has always been open. The only barrier is our blindness to it. He told us, "Why do you stay in prison when the door is so wide open? The prison is not built of stone. It is built of beliefs, of fears, of stories we keep repeating. We rattle the chains and cry for freedom, not noticing that the key has always been in our hand. The mind insists the way is blocked, but the soul knows otherwise. The door is here, now, in this very breath. To walk through it is not to travel far. It is to step out of the thought that says you are separate. It is to realize that the beloved is not across an ocean or hidden behind centuries of devotion. The beloved is already within you, closer than your pulse. The door is nothing more than the turning of attention inward, the softening of resistance, the willingness to see what has always been true." Rumi loved to use the image of homecoming. He knew the soul was never truly exiled. The sense of distance was illusion, created by the restless mind. To awaken is not to discover something new, but to return to what has always been yours. The door is not an entry into a foreign place. It is the return to your own house. The wanderer comes home, and in coming home, realizes they never truly left. But why do we hesitate at the threshold? Why do we linger in the prison, even when the door is open? Fear. The ego whispers that stepping through means losing everything familiar, losing the story we have built, losing the illusion of control. And in a way, that is true. You will lose the cage. You will lose the chains. You will lose the small self that has been suffering. What you gain cannot be described, only lived. Freedom does not need an explanation. It only needs the courage to walk through. Sometimes the door appears in pain. Sometimes it appears in joy. Sometimes it is revealed by silence, sometimes by music, sometimes by the sudden beauty of a moment you cannot explain. The form changes, but the opening is the same. At any moment you can choose to step through. No one else can do it for you. No one else can stop you. And when you do, when you allow yourself to walk out of the prison of thought and into the vastness of the present, you will laugh. You will laugh because you will see how simple it was, how close it was, how it was never hidden. Rumi laughed often, not because life was easy, but because he knew the door was always open. So do not wait. Do not keep knocking on walls, thinking they are doors. Turn, look, see. The opening is here, now. Step through. And when you do, you will know what Rumi knew, that the beloved has been waiting inside all along, smiling, patient, arms wide open. Every soul carries a hidden fire. Sometimes it glows softly like an ember. Sometimes it rages like a storm of flame. Rumi knew this fire well, for it was the fire that consumed his illusions, the fire that tore away everything false, the fire that left only love behind. He never asked us to avoid it. He asked us to step into it, to let it do its work. We often fear this fire, thinking it will destroy us. And in one sense, it will. It will destroy the masks we cling to, the identities we polish, the walls we build around our hearts. But what remains is not ash. It is gold. Fire burns away the dross, but leaves the pure metal. That is its nature. To resist it is to remain heavy with what is false. To surrender is to discover what is indestructible. Rumi once said, "Try to accept the changing seasons of your soul, even if winter cuts you deep." He knew the fire of transformation is sometimes fierce, sometimes gentle, but always purposeful. It arrives through heartbreak, through loss, through silence, through sudden flashes of beauty. Whatever form it takes, it is always the same invitation. Burn and be revealed. Think of the times you have been undone. When grief hollowed you out, when failure stripped you bare, when the ground you trusted crumbled beneath your feet. In those moments you thought you were ending. But later, you saw that something new had risen in the ashes, something truer, softer, stronger. That was the fire's gift. It takes what you cannot carry and leaves only what you are. Rumi did not see suffering as punishment. He saw it as alchemy. Pain is the furnace, longing the flame, surrender the transformation, and what emerges is not a wounded soul, but a luminous one. The wound becomes the place where the light enters. The scar becomes the reminder that you have already survived the fire. This is why the mystic does not run from burning. He leans closer. He knows that to cling to what is false is far more painful than to let it be burned away. The fire does not ask for your destruction. It asks for your truth. It wants to reveal the part of you that cannot be consumed. Close your eyes and remember a moment when you thought you would break. Notice that you are here. Notice that something in you endured. That something is the real you, the one the fire cannot touch. That is what Rumi points to again and again. You are not the mask that burns. You are the light that remains. So do not fear the fire. Invite it. Let it burn away the lies, the fears, the stories that keep you small. Let it leave you bare, shining, alive. For when the fire has finished its work, you will not be less. You will be more. You will be nothing less than yourself, revealed. And you will understand what Rumi understood, that the fire you feared was never against you. It was the beloved all along, coming closer, asking you to return. There is a thread running through your life, so fine you cannot always see it, so strong it can never be broken. Rumi spoke of this thread as the hidden connection between every soul, every moment, every breath. He said love is not something we create, but the thread itself, binding all things back to the beloved. You may think your life is scattered, 1,000 fragments with no design. You may believe your joys and your sorrows, your meetings and your partings are accidents. But Rumi whispered that nothing is wasted, nothing is random. Every event is a stitch, every encounter a knot, every tear and every laugh woven into a pattern too vast for us to grasp. We see threads tangled, but the beloved sees the tapestry. This is why Rumi trusted even in loss. When someone left, when silence fell, when plans dissolved, he did not despair. He knew the thread was still unbroken, still pulling him toward what he could not yet see. He said, "Try not to resist life's changes. Even when all seems uncertain, know that you are being woven." The mind cries out at the knots, but the soul sees the beauty in the weaving. Think of the people who have entered your life for a moment and then vanished. Think of the lessons that appeared through pain, the sudden kindnesses that came from strangers, the small coincidences that shifted everything. Each was a thread, each a reminder that the beloved is present, even in what feels like chance. If you trace them carefully, you will see that they form a single line, always leading you deeper into yourself. The thread is not only between you and the beloved, it is between you and every living soul. What you do to another vibrates along the line and returns to you. This is why compassion matters. This is why cruelty wounds not only its target, but its source. The thread is one. To hurt another is to cut yourself. To love another is to mend your own soul. Rumi once told the story of a pearl diver who tied himself to a rope before leaping into the ocean's depth. Without the rope, he would be lost. With it, he could return with treasures. The thread of love is like that rope. It ties us to the source, even when we dive into the depths of fear, confusion, or despair. No matter how deep we go, we are never cut off. The rope always leads us back. Perhaps you feel alone at times, as if your thread has snapped. But if you listen closely, if you soften your heart, you will feel the pull again. A word, a song, a moment of silence will remind you that the connection was never lost. The beloved does not abandon. The beloved only weaves. So trust the thread. Even when it disappears into the dark, even when the knots seem unbearable, trust that it holds. Trust that it leads. Trust that it is love itself, unbreakable, eternal. And when at last you glimpse the pattern, the tapestry of your life woven with others, you will know why Rumi sang as he did. Because he saw not chaos, but beauty. He saw not brokenness, but wholeness. He saw the thread that has always been there, binding all things back to the one. There is a sky inside you, vast and unending. Rumi often spoke of this inner expanse, the horizon of the soul that cannot be measured, the space that holds all storms and all stars. We mistake ourselves for the clouds that pass, for the lightning that flashes, for the rain that falls. But Rumi said, we are not the weather. We are the sky itself, untouched, unchanged, infinite. When grief comes, it is a storm moving across the horizon, loud, heavy, full of rain. When joy arrives, it is sunlight breaking through. When fear rises, it is a dark cloud drifting across your vision. And yet none of these last. They pass, they dissolve, they change shape. But the sky remains. The sky has always remained. To remember this is to be free. The ego clings to the clouds, believing they define us. I am sorrow, it says. I am anger. I am fear. But the soul whispers otherwise. You are the vastness that holds these passing forms, not the forms themselves. Even the darkest storm cannot stain the sky. Even the heaviest clouds cannot weigh it down. What you are is beyond weather, Rumi said. Try to accept the changing seasons of your heart, for even storms are part of the sky's story. He did not mean to deny our feelings. He meant to remember their place. They are guests, not masters. They visit, but they do not own the house. The soul is the house. The beloved is the one who built it. Think of the times you thought sorrow would never end, when the sky seemed filled with nothing but gray. And yet, eventually, the clouds shifted. Light returned. The storm that felt eternal became memory. What remained was the same vastness, the same sky you had forgotten to notice. If this has happened once, it will happen again. Every storm passes. Every cloud drifts. The sky endures. Rumi loved to remind us that what we fear as endings are only changes in weather. The soul itself cannot end. It cannot be broken. The sky cannot be torn apart by wind or rain. And when you rest in this truth, you discover a peace deeper than emotion, a stillness that is not shaken even as the world shifts. This is not detachment. It is remembrance. You are not abandoning the storm. You are remembering that you are more than it. Close your eyes and feel the sky inside you. Spacious, silent, vast. Notice how thoughts and feelings move across it like birds in flight. Notice how quickly they come and go. The more you rest in the vastness, the less you are bound by the storms. You no longer fight the weather. You let it pass. And in that allowing, you discover freedom. This is what Rumi knew, that the soul is not fragile, not small, not bound to the clouds that come and go. It is the open sky, the eternal expanse, the space in which the beloved moves like the sun. When you see this, when you remember the sky inside you, you will understand why no storm can defeat you, why no darkness can last forever. Because you are not the storm. You are the sky. Every heart is a lantern. Some burn brightly, some flicker weakly, some seem darkened altogether. But Rumi reminded us that the flame inside never dies. It may be hidden, it may be buried beneath smoke and ash, but it is never extinguished. The lantern is your being. The light is the beloved. We polish the lantern endlessly, painting its surface, decorating it with names, achievements, possessions, Yet none of this matters if the flame is forgotten. What good is a beautiful lantern with no fire inside? Rumi said, "Don't get lost in your pain. Know that one day your pain will become your cure." The cracks in the lantern are not flaws. They are the openings through which the light escapes. Think of the people who have illuminated your path. Often it was not their perfection that guided you, but their brokenness shining honestly. Their scars glowed like windows. Their vulnerability lit the way. This is the mystery. The places we try hardest to hide are often the very places where the beloved's light shines most clearly. To be human is not to conceal your flame, but to let it burn, even through the cracks. Sometimes the lantern grows dim. We feel lost, empty, unworthy. But Rumi knew the flame cannot be destroyed. It is the eternal spark placed in every soul before time began. When you feel dark, it is not that the light has gone. It is only that smoke has covered the glass. Silence, kindness, longing. These are the cloths that clear it. Slowly, patiently, the flame becomes visible again. The lantern does not exist for itself. Its purpose is to share light, to warm, to guide, to remind others of the fire within them. This is why Rumi's words still shine centuries later. His lantern burned so fiercely with love that its glow has never faded. But he would be the first to say, it is not his flame alone. The same light burns in you. The same beloved placed it there. Close your eyes and feel it. That warmth in your chest, that pull toward truth, that ache for something more. That is the flame. Do not deny it. Do not fear it. Let it burn. Let it spill through your cracks. Let it turn your very life into a lantern for others. For the beloved does not hide in perfect glass. The beloved shines through the broken, the ordinary, the fragile. And when you finally see this, when you let your light glow without shame, you will understand what Rumi knew, that the purpose of being human is not to be flawless, but to shine, to carry the flame forward, to let love illuminate the path for others. And in doing so, you discover the truth. You were never the lantern. You were always the light. Every drop longs for the ocean. This is the hidden truth behind every desire, every sorrow, every restless night. We chase love, we chase success, we chase peace, but what we are really chasing is the ocean we were poured from. Rumi knew this longing well. He said we are not separate from the sea, only disguised as drops. To awaken is not to travel far, but to remember, you are already water. When the drop falls back, it does not lose itself. It discovers itself. It realizes it was never alone, never small, never separate. All along, it was the ocean pretending. The fear of dissolving was the final illusion. The return is not death, but reunion. The wave rejoins the sea, and in that embrace, there is no loss, only completion. Rumi called this homecoming. He said the soul is never at rest until it remembers its source. This is why longing aches so deeply. It is not weakness, not flaw. It is memory. The ocean inside you is calling itself back, and every tear, every prayer, every silence is the path of return. Think of the times you felt most alive, moments of awe, of love, of surrender. In those moments, the drop fell away. You forgot yourself, and for a breath, you dissolved into something vaster. That taste is the truth. That glimpse is the promise. The ocean is not ahead of you. It is within you. It has always been here, waiting to be recognized. The ego fears this. It wants to remain a drop, separate, special, defined. But the soul knows better. It knows that to dissolve is to become infinite. It knows that what you lose in boundaries, you gain in boundlessness. This is why Rumi could whirl endlessly, why his poems burned with such fire. He was not celebrating individuality. He was dissolving into the whole. He was remembering what we all are. Ocean disguised as drop. Eternity disguised as moment. Love disguised as form. So let yourself return. Do not fear the dissolving. The beloved does not erase you. The beloved completes you. The wave falls, and in falling, it becomes what it always was. Ocean, unbroken, endless, free. And if these words have touched you, if they have stirred something deep, let this not be the end. Stay close to this circle. Subscribe not for numbers or noise, but because your heart longs for reminders of what it already knows. Leave a comment. Let your light shine in words, so that others may see their own flame reflected. Offer a like as a gesture of gratitude, not to me, but to the beloved who speaks through all of us. For this is not a lecture. It is a mirror. Not information, but fire. Not a channel, but a circle of returning souls. And if you feel the pull, it is because the ocean inside you is already rising to meet itself. Welcome home.